I want to say thank you everybody for coming out tonight. We got a good group here tonight. A lot of new faces in the crowd, and I'll get you guys here soon. A couple things we want to go over. The Moab ride is next weekend. How many are planning on being on the Moab ride? Okay. So have a pretty good turnout then. We will be riding both Friday and Saturday. The trails that we're doing, they're not too bad. They're not the hardcore. Friday we'll do a 7-mile rim. Probably work our way over to Cutcher Tunnel and Hidden Canyon. Maybe work around to Secret Spire and the overlook to the Green River there. Saturday we're going to do Gemini Bridges. Depending on how everybody feels, we may do throw in Metal Masher into the loop on that. We'll just see where we're at and see how everybody feels about it. It's not as bad as it sounds. We've been up worse. I went up worse on Saturday. It's Fix-It Pass really is not as difficult as it seemed. It's just we had so many machines and so much traffic on the trail and that, and we should have attacked it from the top down rather than the bottom up on that day, but it is what it is. Yeah, a lot of the stuff if it's really bad, there's a bypass around it. And again, if you're not comfortable taking your machine over something, I'm more than happy to help everybody through. We'll be spotting everybody. If you don't want to drive your machine, I will take it through if that's what you want me to do.
Metal Masher's pretty nasty, but I'll just say, if my wife can ride it on her 550 straddle and get up those hills, you can make it.
Yeah, again, we'll just see how everybody feels on Saturday morning. We can always split the group up too if the more adventuresome want to hit Metal Masher, and the ones that are not so adventuresome want to go the other way. So we'll all end up in the same place. One of the big questions we've been getting hit on lately on the Facebook page and everything, and we've talked about it a lot, are the radios. What are we doing on the radio channels? We've done some pretty extensive research into it. We're going to go back and run the Rugged Radios channels that they have programmed in. We found that those are licensed in a couple of places in the state, and we can request that they license them in other areas, so we're going to do that. We've also discovered that there's like 5 channels that are good nationwide wherever you're at. So those 5 will be incorporated in, plus a few others. So hopefully by next month's meeting, we will have a new program for everybody's radios. We can start bringing them in, and we can reprogram everybody's radios so we don't have to manually do this. In the meantime, we'll probably get some frequencies for the Moab ride, and you can manually enter in the frequency channel. So it's the other thing that we recommend. You can get your GMRS license. It's $70 for 10 years is what it costs. You go online, it takes you about 2 minutes, 3 minutes to do it. And it's done. That's good for you and your immediate family, your wife, your kids. It's not good for your next door neighbor to use or anybody else. They used to do them as a commercial license where a company could, like us, we could do it, get it for the whole club. They no longer do that. They still grandfather the ones in that were there, but they no longer sell them now through the GMRS license that way. It's recommended to do it just that way you're you're safe no matter where you're at if you're on the, on the radios. You don't have to have any problems with the FCC.
Can you expand a little bit on that licensing certification? What's that about?
The GMRS license it gives you, what he'd asked is just to expand on the GMRS license. It gives you, it's similar to a ham radio license, but not to the full extent as a ham radio.
The GMRS license, you fill out an application, give them the $70, and that's all it is.
There's no test, there's
No
no
test
nothing.
required.
There are certain frequencies, there's I think 30 GMRS channels that you're now allowed to use. So what this whole thing started out as, we all started getting these radios and we were running on the FRS channels, because that way anybody could buy it if they had their little handheld Midland that you buy at Sportsman's Warehouse or something. They could run on it. The problem is those channels are regulated at 0.5 watts. We're running 5, 8, 25 watt radios. So the FCC started cracking down on it. It's always been that way. They just never really enforced it until about a year ago. That it just become overrun. So they really started cracking down about a year ago. So this is why we've had to go back and reinvestigate on these.
Another thing too, see there's different classes of radios that are out there. The Bofengs are a Part 90 classified radio, which is strictly the ham frequencies. They're not classified for Part 95, which are the FRS and other things like this. So that's one of the reasons why we're having to come off of them.
Steve, also if you go to Midland Radio, just Google Midland Radio, the support page, there's a section on how to get your license. They'll give you all the details. If you call them on support or email them, they'll help you through the licensing process. There's a couple other restrictions. You can't have a felony and some other things. But that's the best thing, is go to Midland Radio, look under support for GMRS, and I'll tell you how to do it.
So anyway, so yeah, that's where we're at on the radios. Hopefully by next month's meeting we'll have the program made so we can reprogram everybody's radios. Also, with the club growing it in the manner that it has, we have we're redoing a lot of the bylaws to make it more clear for everybody. So just keep an eye on it. Once the new bylaws we've created them, voted on them as through the board and that, we'll put them out on the Facebook page and the website and that. Just make sure you read through the bylaws and you understand. It's nothing significant. It gives us protections for certain things. So just be aware that the bylaws will be changing a little bit. April 4th, we have a cleanup project scheduled at Knowles. Who planning on attending that? Okay. Good. So we may be joined there by Desert Foxes Motorcycle Club. They also do an event out there. So Roxanne from the BLM is maybe going to reach out to them to help out with the project. It's just going to be general cleanup. There's cleaning up the campsites and fire pits and that. We'll have some rolling magnets there that people like to take pallets out there and burn them, even though it's specifically against the rules to do it. They do it anyway, and then people drive through the fire pits and get a nail in their tire, and so we'll have that, clean up the fire pits, and then just doing just general cleanup and garbage and stuff. So. There was something else I was supposed to go over, and I've been going 100 different directions at once lately. So tonight we've got Chris from Western Power Sports here. He's going to do give us a presentation on some safety gear and tires and some communication equipment and that. So if we can get Chris up here.
I had heard a rumor earlier this month that Moab Trails may be charging a fee for access to some of that Moab area.
I have not heard anything. His question was he heard the rumor that Moab Trails were going to start charging fees. I have not heard anything like that. I know like the Gemini Trailhead is on, the parking area there is on private property, and the guy has, I think he has started charging people to park. If you go up to Hell's Revenge and Fins and Things where I was Saturday, that is a fee area that you go into. It's a $5 fee area, but I'm not aware of any other changes other than that. There has been a lot of issue down there with the city council and UTVs complaining about the noise on the street, legal UTVs, and it's something we're working on with them. We're trying to get them to give us some routes that they would rather us take through town. I understand guys are going through at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. If you're there, you're going through town, throttle down, keep the noise down. You don't have to burn through there 40 miles an hour and rev your motor and everything. You know, just be respectful. And that should go wherever you're at. I don't care if it's Moab or you're riding past a campground. Slow down. Don't kick dust on these people that are there camping and that. It's just disrespectful. It shows us in a bad light. So, anyway, I'll turn time over to Chris.
Thank you guys, I appreciate the time tonight. Tonight we'll go over a few quick things. We'll go over tires just because I'll give you a background on myself here in just a minute, but we'll go over tires. We'll talk about comm systems, about communication, what some are doing versus others. There's a lot of confusion out in the market on comm systems, what will work, what won't work, why does something work better than anything else. We'll go through that. And then helmet safety and the importance of helmets, how they protect, why they protect, and why some helmets are exceptionally more expensive than others, what makes them that, why they are that way. So just to give you a quick background on myself, some of you may have seen me. I left here, the Edge. I worked here from 2003 until 2014. Done everything here at the Edge. I actually came on back in early 2003 when we were still the Point Power Sports down at the other location. You guys have been with us for that long. Came on, worked for these guys for 11 years. Left here in 2014, took an opportunity to go work for Michelin Motorcycle Tires and WPS. I handled WPS's account for Michelin Motorcycle Tires for the United States. So handled all 48 states here locally, and then a little bit of stuff in Alaska, a little bit in Hawaii. So took the opportunity to get out of the local industry, broaden my horizons, go out into the whole country. Once I was finished with that, had the opportunity, me and my wife had, when we were having our second child, wife said no more traveling. I used to have to travel every other week somewhere across the country. My wife said no more of that. She said time to go back home. She said you can either leave the industry or WPS can find something for you to do. Luckily at that time, we had a rep down here that was getting ready to retire. He decided that he would be kind enough to split half of his territory off and take over half. I was able to come back down here, back down to Utah where all my family is, and just take over being a sales rep. So I now, instead of working for the Edge, now work with the Edge, handle a lot of their parts and accessories. A lot of the aftermarket parts and accessories you see around the store come from WPS. If you guys have any questions throughout anything that I'm talking about tonight, please don't hesitate. Raise a hand, ask a question. I'm here to be as informational as I can. Just quick raise of hands, just so I kind of get a feel for the room. How many people have made the transition into the UTV market versus the ATV market? Okay, a lot of UTV. All right, how many have gone the street legal route on UTV?
we'll move
Fantastic.
in that direction.
Excellent, excellent. Well, I'll go through a couple of things, some big points of confusion. I stay up to date on the UTV forum on Facebook in that area, and the Utah area in that, and conversation came up about tires even as early as like 2 weeks ago. Somebody was saying stuff, some other people had comments that weren't accurate. Try and clear that confusion up, clear a little bit more confusion up for you. Kind of give you a better idea when you're looking for tires, that kind of thing. If you're looking for tires, I'll kind of give you an idea of what's actually out there in the market and what to watch for when you're looking for something in the market to make your next tire purchase. The two tires that I have, that I brought down, two of the most popular tires right now. A lot of people have heard of, tried, or ridden on the GBC Canati Mongrel. Anybody ridden on those, have them on their machine? Excellent, excellent. The brand new tire out came out this last year from BFG. The BFG KM3 was derived from off-road racing, the years and years of BFG's off-road racing heritage came over into the UTV world this last year with the KM3. A big question that we got asked, especially when we were developing and testing the tire, is why is the KM3? This is essentially a KM3 exactly like what you buy for your truck. It was redesigned, recarcassed, and reapplied for a UTV market. There is a considerable difference in what you're looking for in a truck tire versus a UTV tire. Even though you think they're kind of the same, there's a definite difference in them. Big thing that we did with the KM3 when we were going through development in that, there is no DOT stamp on the side of the KM3. That's where a lot of confusion comes in. When we at Michelin and BFG were going through figuring out where we wanted the KM3 to come in at, how we wanted it to work, what we wanted to use it for, we went to all the states that allow UTVs to be street legal and found out that the law written currently in every state that has a street legal law for a UTV is that the machine is required to be DOT legal. The tires on the machine are not. So BFG, rather than spend the extra $500,000 to get the DOT stamp on the side and the full DOT, decided not to, bringing the price of the tire down, making it an actual affordable tire for the general public. We also found something out in research and development at BFG. They went out and found all of the UTV tires that have a DOT stamp on them. Every DOT stamp on every UTV tire, the code behind the DOT is not a DOT code. Nobody has gone to the DOT and certified a DOT UTV tire. Could be a huge thing for somebody in the future. BFG wasn't going to call anybody out on it. So right now, if you went into basically a tire manufacturer and said, I have a GBC Canati Mongrel, there's a DOT code on the side of it, this is the DOT code. They can look it up and say that DOT code has never been run through the Department of Transportation. So the DOT code on the side of the Canati Mongrel is actually taken from another DOT code and changed up from one of their light truck tires that they use with the same casing. So
I just want to expand on what he's talking about with the DOT tires and that in the machines. There's a reason why the ATV, UTV speed limit for street legal machines is 50 miles an hour. If it goes above that, those tires have to be a DOT approved tire. That's why we set that speed limit at 50 miles an hour.
exactly. And that's, like I said, that's countrywide. Everywhere you go across the country, no ATV, UTV is allowed on any road posted over. It's actually, they set it a little bit lower. It's technically not supposed to be on any road posted over 45 miles an hour. So speed limit 45 and under. So a question down front was spec-wise. He said, so the spec on the Canati Mongrel is actually a DOT spec without the DOT. It actually isn't. It actually was a completely redesigned, reformed tire for the UTV market. That's how they dropped the weight on it. And so once they did that, then everything, the sidewall technology and everything that made it DOT, the stiffness in the carcass and that made it DOT, they took it out. They know that a lot of people aren't doing a lot of people get caught up in DOT, and even somebody on a forum that I was reading a couple weeks ago said I took my machine in to a place to get the emission or the inspection done on it, and they tried to fail me because my tires didn't say DOT on them. That's not the case, they can't. So, Canati knowing that, GBC knowing that, and a couple others, they put the DOT on there because they know that a lot of these inspection stations are just going to go, "Oh, there's DOT. Yeah, you're good." They don't understand the law either, which is the big confusion, is that a lot of these places don't understand the law that they're trying to pass. But yes, currently right now nobody can tell you because you do not have a DOT stamp on your tire, and the DOT stamp on any tire isn't legit anyway, unless you're using. People have gone out and purchased we saw it a lot before it actually came out. People would go out and purchase the 35-inch KM3 from a truck and put it on. That has a DOT on it. It's a truck tire. But yes, none of the it says it's a mud terrain, we'll get into that in a second, but none of the BFG product has a DOT on it. It's an extremely, like I said, it's an extremely expensive step to take just to get that DOT on there, and the volume of tires that you have to sell to bring the price back down is an unheard of number. It's not currently in our market how many tires are. So the next thing that you'll see, the reason I bring it down, the Canati Mongrel and the KM3, everybody's seen a ply rating on the side of a tire. Everybody looks for, hey, I want a 6 ply, I want an 8 ply, I want a 10 ply. Back in the day when the ply actually came into effect, essentially what a ply was is there was layers of nylon inside of a tire. The ply on the tire was how many layers of nylon was inside the tire. That set the ply. Anymore, the ply rating on the side of the tire is stating how structurally sound it is versus what the materials in are at the air pressure that it was tested at. That's a big thing for some people. If you're not 100% aware of how that works, some companies, GBC, Maxxis, System 3, and I believe ITP on a couple, they have a 8-ply rated, 10-ply rated tire. The 10-ply rating on a GBC Mongrel is 10-ply rated if you're running 30 psi pressure. So if you're running 30 psi, which is essentially what you can run on the street, if you're running it on the streets and that kind of stuff, that is a 10-ply tire at 30 psi. When you get out to the trails and you're aired down, you're rock crawling, that kind of stuff, you're at 6 psi, 8 psi, you're essentially a 6-ply tire. That's how much puncture resistance and how much is built into the tire. A couple of tires that rate them a little bit differently. The the KM3 from BFG, it's an 8-ply rated tire at 8 psi. So anywhere you're riding and anything you're doing, 8-ply rated at 8 psi. The nice part about the BFG is they also rate it at 40 psi because we built it the same as the truck tire. So if you have a street legal machine and you take it out once, twice a week and you're driving on the streets and that, you can air this tire up to 40 psi just like you would with your truck tires, and you can get miles and miles out of it. The U.S. military uses them in some applications. U.S. military is seeing about 3,000 miles at 40 psi with their UTVs on them. So extremely strong product. Another tire that's rated at 8 psi, Sedona. Anything you see from Sedona, if you read the ply ratings on any Sedona tire that you see out there in the market, it's always rated at trail rating, so 6 to 8 psi. So those are just a couple of quick things on tires, how you can look for something, how you can essentially see what something really is when you're looking for a tire.
I've noticed on those two tires, my stock tires of mine are, got the big knobs and stuff like this on. Do we need to think about if we're gonna make a street legal, we need to start changing these to a smoother tire?
All that really, yeah, so his question was, basically the knob, how aggressive the knob is, knob void, that kind of stuff. Does it really make a difference when you're going to street legal? The only difference that that really make for you is the noise, road noise, usually with the more void you get in the groove, and the taller the lug, the harder the lug, the more noise you're gonna have. So it's just gonna be a noisy tire. Doesn't mean it's gonna be any worse, doesn't mean it's gonna ride worse. Some things that you might see when you get a real aggressive knob on there, you can get what's called cupping, so the interior of the tire will start to wear in rather than out. So just watch those things. You can replace that. If you're going to be on the street doing more street riding in that, or street driving in your machine, you can probably go up 2, 3, 4 psi. I know on my machine, I have a Razor 4 Turbo. I have ITP 33-inch tires on it, and when I'm driving on the street, like if I'm taking my kids for rides and I know I'm not going to be out on the trail for a while, I'll actually go to like 16 psi in them, just because it reduces that. Yeah, there's always ways around it, but yeah, just like with anything, just like with your car, your truck tire, and that, more aggressive knob, the more void, basically the more void there is in between where the knobs are, that's where your noise comes from. All right. Anybody else have any questions on tires, pliering, anything like that? Oh, one last thing that you'll notice, any Michelin product, doesn't matter if it's for your car, for your truck, for UTV, for motorcycle, there will never be a balance stop on any Michelin product, BFG product. The reason for that is Michelin's the only company in the world, across the board, Michelin's the only company in the world that does what's called indexing on their tire. So when a tire is built, essentially all the materials go into a mold. Mold spins. Basically it spins, heats up, cools itself down, stops. Every other company in the world, doesn't matter who it is, every other company in the world, when that mold stops, that's where they set the next ply to go in, or the next material goes in. At the end of the whole process, once the tire is completely built, the tire stops, it drops, which is the heavy point. They go 180 degrees across from that, and there's a dot on the tire. That's your balance dot, basically saying this side is the heavy point in the tire, the other side is the light point in the tire. So BFG, Michelin, they do what's called indexing. What that is it takes a little bit more time to develop the tire and build the tire, but once the first layer goes in, everything spins, it cures, it goes back up to top dead center, it indexes to an exact point on the tire, and that's where it starts the next ply or whatever is going in next. Once that stops, it goes back to a top dead center point and goes to an exact point on the tire to start the next series. So once the tire comes out, essentially once every Michelin, BFG, and Uniroyal tire come out of any mold, they're balanced. So everyone goes on a balancer, it's checked, make sure that it's balanced. They actually have people at every facility across the world, the BFG here in America, Michelin overseas in that, they have people that will sit outside of the curing machine in that, and they physically hand-on check every tire that comes through. You have to be a Michelin employee for 10 years before you can even have the job. I've been over to the facility, seen them do it. I've seen tires that I thought were perfectly fine. They found a defect in them. They found it. So, incredibly important as to what you get out of the life of a BFG or Michelin product. So that pretty much covers tires. These guys here at the Edge, they're very, very knowledgeable in tires. If you guys ever have questions, come in and see the parts guys, service guys. They're very good with what they're doing. Any other questions that they might have that you might have that they can't answer, they can always reach out to me. So tell them, hey, if they don't have the answer that you need, tell them to reach out to me. All right, comm systems. We'll touch on comm systems for just a few minutes. The big thing in comm systems is a couple of years ago, comm systems took a leap forward, and you start to see stuff come out like CNS 30K, Uclear has what's called the Motion Infinity, Cardo, Scala Rider, they came out with it. It's called Mesh. Essentially what Mesh is, in all of your comm systems, before Mesh came out a couple of years ago, everything was off of Bluetooth. Bluetooth has been a great thing. It's worked well for communicating in comm systems for years and years. But essentially for off-road riders, it's not a great thing because Bluetooth is essentially going off a straight line. I need to be able to see you in order for my Bluetooth system to work. Also, in that line, if you have 8 people riding in a group, I need to be connected to 2, 2 needs to go to 3, 3 needs to go to 4. What happened when everybody came out with the mesh system is now mesh allows you to go up to, some people have 16, other companies like Uclear, they have the Motion Infinity that you can actually pair an infinite number of systems into the same system. What mesh does is mesh, imagine it like a spider web. Instead of my line of sight going straight to number 2, now everything goes out in a web. So basically instead of going straight, everything's scattering itself. Still has the same distance at 1.2 miles, but it's finding everybody in a mesh. The other thing that happened when you went to a mesh system is now if the 5 or 10 of us in this first area, if we're riding together, anything with a mesh system, if I'm number 1 rider, number 2, 3, 4, all the way through 10 or whoever, they can ride in whatever order they want to all day long, and the system's going to continually re-jump itself. So from front to back, you can create a string of riders that's 6 to 8 miles long and still communicate from front to back. It'll automatically readjust itself and build into itself who's riding in which position. So those are the big 2 things with mesh systems. Cena is working on their Tough Talk system to come out with mesh here in the next year or 2. That'll be for your UTV riders and that. It's an over-the-ear headphone system that you can wear in your UTV. It'll be a mesh system, so just like we talked about, you can pair up to 16 people. You can go no matter who's riding where all day long. There's, like I said, everybody now has some kind of mesh. We're on to mesh like 4.0 now. I just saw an email from Cena the other day that they have a new mesh system coming out. I think it's mesh 4.0. It still has a 1.2 mile radius, but it connects at 4K speeds. So it's talking to itself faster and faster, easier to use. Same thing, guys here at the Edge. They can be any comm system. If you guys don't have something, if you guys have an older system and want to go to a mesh, if you don't have the Tough Talk machine or you have a helmet comm system and that, if you want to go to mesh, you can ask them to get. Cena has a mesh dongle. Basically, it's a mesh receiver. You can turn any of your older units into a mesh system. So, any questions on comm system? Anything like that? Biggest thing with comm systems is you still have to have some kind of service. CV, you can get away from service a little bit. Comm system, you have to have some kind of service. Technically, the talking points you can get away with. You're going to be able to ride anywhere and talking bike to bike or rider to rider or anything like that. You're going to be able to get away with music and that kind of stuff. All right. Now that we're done with that, move on. Get you guys out of here before wasting time. Excuse me. All right, helmet safety and the importance of how a helmet protects. This is a really big one for me. Through the years of riding a lot of motocross, riding a lot of off-road and that, then helmet safety has become something that I've really entrenched myself in and really tried to stay up on when I was here. Definitely kept doing it while I was at WPS on the Michelin side, and continue to do it through WPS on the fly side. Excuse me, I'm coming off the cold, so. All right, helmet safety. Just to give you guys some idea of numbers, across the United States, 2017 is the last year that we have all of the data in. In 2017, across the United States, major incidents on ATV, UTV came in at 93,800 incidents across the United States in the year 2017. The nice part is that was down from 101,200 incidents in 2016. The biggest thing we can relate that to is 3 more states passed helmet laws and more strict helmet laws. So Of that 93,800, 24,800 of those were kids under the age of 16. In every state across the U.S., it's required that kids under the age of 16 have a helmet on an ATV and in a UTV. So, we'll talk about what that number means. That 93,800, that means that somebody was hurt significantly enough that they needed to go to the ER or see a doctor for their injury. So that's ER visit numbers across the United States. So now let's get back to what we're talking about. Helmets. Number one, the hardest thing that we can find, I'll start at the youth side, the hardest thing that we can find in youth, especially now that we're getting into the UTV and that, is finding a way to get kids, younger kids, comfortable with wearing a helmet. We don't all get lucky. This helmet's actually my 2-year-old son's helmet. It's for his Stasic bike, it's for our UTV, that kind of stuff. I got incredibly lucky with him. He goes and grabs his helmet off the shelf and runs around the house in it. For some reason, he's one of those super weird kids that loves to wear a helmet. Never seen it before in my life, but he absolutely loves it. So, finding a way for kids to wear a helmet, be comfortable in a helmet. Number one thing that you're going to run into, the number one thing that you need to take in consideration is brain injuries are a severe thing. We're seeing it in professional sports. I'll talk to you more about what's going on in that end. Professional sports, we're seeing head injuries, and it's not, we've gotten to the point now that we can dissect it down into not severe injuries, concussions, where you lose, hey, I can't remember what I did yesterday. But we're now getting down into the point that we can test and find ways to prevent against minor concussions, things that you never know that you had, times that you hit your head just enough that you go, that hurt a little bit, but I still remember everything that happened today. I remember everything that happened yesterday. I'm fine, no big deal, you know, just kind of took a header. Finding ways that kids we can get kids into helmets. Number one is weight. If we can get the weight of a helmet down, we found that kids will be more susceptible to putting the helmet on. Biggest thing that we've run into is you get a $100 helmet and a kid doesn't want to wear it because it weighs 3.5 pounds on their neck for even an hour or two. That's a ton of weight. So through Fly Racing, we actually have the luxury of having a BMX department. And so there's helmets that we have that go through the BMX department that we actually don't run through DOT. We can build them super safe, but we don't have to run through DOT. We run through ECE. ECE is a European standard. When we do that, we take out a lot of weight. We can cut almost a pound off of the helmet. So this helmet that my son loves to wear around and run around in comes in under 2 pounds. The Edge has them here. They're $119. They come in small, medium, and large. They come in a bunch of different colors in that. If you have young kids, they're struggling with having a helmet on or struggling with the time that you're in the machine. I can tell you the first way to get out and keep recreating and recreating more and more, make it comfortable for your kids and wives, that kind of stuff. The longer that they're comfortable, the more time you get spent with them. Then unfortunately we just bear through it. We're like, hey, I spent $25,000 on this machine. We were out here for 6 hours. My wife, I spent $25,000 on the machine, and she is not happy after an hour. We are going home. I understand it. I don't even try to get out of it. If my kids are uncomfortable after 30 minutes, we're home. So getting kids comfortable, making sure that they have something that's safe, that'll take care of them inside an ATV. I would not run this on an ATV. Just some safety features you want on an ATV. If you're on an ATV, you're going to look for something that's DOT. I'd recommend finding something that's DOT EC. Once again, major standard in our industry for years and years and years was Snell. Snell is very good for car racing applications. The reason being is in a Snell test, the helmet has to take an impact, a significant impact, at the exact same point twice. The problem with that is that you have to develop a shell that's super thick, a liner that's super thick, so it adds weight. At the end of the day, if we can get weight off your neck, we can reduce injuries. If we can get weight off your neck, you're a lot happier 4 hours into the day. I can tell you that I'm a lot happier 3 hours into the day with my helmet that weighs 2.5 pounds than I even was wearing my helmet that was 3 pounds. Huge difference. You don't realize it until you're actually. So getting into safety, just because we have the ability here, talk to you guys a little bit about safety. If you guys have never seen the inside of a helmet, this isn't what every helmet looks like. Usually the EPS liner is this white stuff up here. This white stuff up here, it's essentially foam. You've gone to the store and bought a cooler for your drinks, cooler for your beer and that. It's one of those foam coolers. Same thing. This is just condensed foam. That's the reason helmets also have an expiration date. Foam deteriorates. So if you have a helmet that was produced more than 5-6 years ago, it's time to start looking to get another helmet or a new helmet. Just because if you take a hit in that, this foam, that's what you're counting on to protect your head against concussion. That's what you're counting on to protect your head against any other form of injury. You don't want to, you're not going to use a cooler, foam cooler that you bought at the store 5 years ago to carry your drinks out to the trail. Don't trust your head in a helmet that you bought 6 years ago to keep you safe in an incident. Another thing that we're starting to see a lot more of is in the UTV industry, everybody goes back to the, I'm essentially in a car, I have a cage around me, I don't need a helmet. It just makes me uncomfortable. I got a cage that'll protect me from anything you need. More and more accidents happen where you tip over and you don't realize that the movement that you have in your UTV pushes your head outside of that roll cage, or in a horrible instance, it pushes your head into that roll cage. And I haven't in all of my life, I've never told somebody with an aluminum Louisville Slugger at a baseball game or anything to just take a small shot at my head. Just wasn't in the cards for me. Essentially, it's the same thing that you're doing. If you bounce your head off that cage, it's going to hurt. I was up at KT Performance a little while ago. They had a machine in there that a guy had rolled. He was out rock crawling. Rolled the machine. I could see the indent in the roof, and they said he can't remember 4 months. Didn't have a helmet on, had harnesses, rock crawling, rolled over, head went into the roof, concussed so bad he can't remember months. Not a day, not a couple of days, months. That was rock crawling. That wasn't, he was doing 80 and rolled rock crawling. So, back to helmets. Finding something that's comfortable for you, that will give you protection. That's what we're looking for. We want everybody to be safe. Everybody that's in this room today, we want everybody to go on rides month after month after month, year after year after year. The best way we can do that is protect ourselves. If you're in a UTV, I'm not saying that you need something like this. This is the Fly Formula helmet. Right now, it's one of the most technically advanced helmets that's on the market. We've done a couple of things with it. We've actually done a cone head EPS in this, which means that we're now using the softer EPS like the foam cooler, like we talked about, along with a mixed and harder foam. We also use what's called Rheon. Rheon Labs is a company out of England that Fly Racing found a couple of years ago to help us with the development of this. What that stuff does is we're trying to reduce rotational mass and we're trying to reduce small vibration in anybody's brain. We found that consistent concussions are coming up more and more. Little concussions that you don't see time after time after time. You know, you took a corner too fast and hit your head a little bit on your roll bar. Didn't think much about it. You did it again the next weekend. In a few years, you're going, I can't remember what I did Tuesday, but I should be good. 10 years down the road, you're going, I can't remember Tuesday, Wednesday. I'm still pretty good. That's where we're getting into with the NFL and that, since they found that it's that time after time after time of those little hits that are making a difference. We found this company, Rheon Labs, doctor out of England. He'd actually developed Rheon for the military over in England. He actually takes this cell and essentially lines the bottom of Humvees with it because it absorbs energy. It doesn't absorb impact, it absorbs energy. And so for explosive devices and that, basically their Humvees can run over an explosive, and the Rheon in the bottom of it absorbs the majority of the energy. We took that and requested that he made it super, super small so that we could protect somebody's brain. What we did is we revolutionized what we were able to do in the motorcycle industry with cutting down on this here that you can see if you guys ever take a look at it. You can see brain strain level without Rheon in a helmet, with Rheon in a helmet. Basically, all this is doing is it's cushion, and it's basically taking that little bit of vibration out of your head. So you're protecting against those little hits time after time after time. Like I said, that's the extreme end. A helmet like this, $650. It's very much overkill if you're into UTV and that, but the big part of it is 2.6 pounds because we use 12K carbon fiber. We use a lot of other materials in it that bring it under 3 pounds. When you're under 3 pounds, you don't realize it's on your head the majority of the day. Big intake and exhaust ports, so you can breathe in it. That's one thing that we try to do with the youth helmets and that as well. They're very, very, very ventilated, so your kids' heads don't get hot. We realize that's happening because kids are very susceptible to heat and cold. Just their bodies don't regulate it as easy, and so there's much heat that we can get off their heads. This helmet, if you guys love it, hey, my kids love it. They love riding in it. We actually make this up to a XXL and adult. So you guys can buy a $119 helmet. It'll take care of you. Sub 2 pound helmet. You can ride your UTV and you have something that's going to be there to take care of you. If you're jumping your UTV and that kind of stuff, I'd always recommend it. You spend a little bit more money. Remember the arms, legs, broken bones, that kind of stuff we can fix. Doctors can't fix your brain. So spend the money. Get a nicer helmet. Realize what you're, like I said, realize that at the end of the day, you're trusting your head in most cases to a foam cooler. You try to find something lightweight. These guys know the weights of pretty much every helmet out on the floor. Find something lightweight, especially like I said, kids, young adults, that kind of stuff. Their day of riding and how happy they are at the end of the day depends on how comfortable you can make them and how easy you can make it. I can tell you neck strain is a huge deal. That's the reason that neck rolls, the companies that make neck rolls make millions upon millions of dollars a year to take that weight off the kid's head. So keep the weight off the kid's head. Keep them safe. That's the biggest thing we want. Like I said, we want everybody riding today. We want you guys out riding tomorrow and for years to come. So, you guys have any questions?
How will those fit into with lower systems? Do you have special helmets with lower systems?
Yeah, none of these will have an intake or anything like that in it. We're working on, Fly Racing is working on 2 models of lower system right now, an open face and a closed face, but that's what. Same thing, it's a weight thing.
Those are the door prizes for tonight, right?
That half helmet tires.
Is that all you need?
Yeah, that'd be half helmet.
Do you guys all know where to find like expiration dates and manufacture dates inside the helmets and all that?
No.
Sorry, I turned that off. So on the inside of every helmet, there will be a tag.
That one might have got torn up.
Yeah, this one's up.
That is.
There will be a tag on the inside of every helmet.
You're not
It has
gonna
to
do
be
this tag.
exactly. It has to be glued to the EPS liner. It can't be on anything else. Can't be anything removable in that because you can't change it. So on the inside of every helmet, there will be a tag that's glued in that says produced on X and X date, a week and a year. A typical lifespan of a helmet, I'd say if it's a DOT only helmet, you're about 5 years, just because that's utilizing just this white foam in there. If you have a DOT ECE, or a Snell helmet, you can usually get away with about 7 years. Never push helmet past 7 years.
Well, some of our radio communications, they have helmet mounted mics and earphones. Now, are they? Because
Yes.
you can put those in there? Okay. Because usually we just kind of go through the backside, take a wire and poke through it, run the stuff
We were
around.
drilling holes in one last week.
Well, okay, you know. that 2.5-inch hole saw just doesn't work though.
You need to take it off the guy's head.
Oh,
before you drill.
that was the problem.
Another thing you want to look out for is you do want to inspect your helmet periodically. This one came in to me today. This was a customer of ours. He races dirt bikes. It doesn't look that bad. If you look at it closer though, I made him retire his helmet today. He didn't know that he had a handlebar go into his helmet, put a giant hole in it, and he's also taken about 3 hits on this, and you, up here on the front, the shell's actually fractured. So that's something you want to inspect for. So periodically, take everything out of your helmet and just inspect it.
Take your head out of your helmet.
Yeah, take all the pads out and everything. You'll actually see where EPS compresses from when you hit. And so when that happens, you want to replace that helmet. So periodically, just take it apart, wash everything while you're in there. So.
I know a lot of you have heard this story before, but I'm going to tell the ones that haven't heard it. I'm a huge proponent of helmets. I grew up racing motocross for 14 years. When I finally got my wife to start riding four-wheelers, she hated her helmet. She absolutely despised it. It was like pulling teeth to get her to wear it. About 7 years ago, we were down in Kanab. She rolled her machine over on her. And fortunately, she had her helmet on. She had to be life flighted out. She broke her nose, her left cheekbone, 8 ribs, both bones in her left wrist, slight punctured lung. Her full face helmet, the left, it was pushed over, it was buckled in 2 places on the left side here. So she took the full weight of a 450 Grizzly right on top of her head. Still broke her nose and her cheekbone. Without the helmet, it's a recovery instead of a rescue. So I've been pretty lax in my UTV lately. I've been kind of lazy, like he says, you fall into it. But you'll never see me on an ATV, and I got to get back into wearing my helmet in my UTVs too. But I'm telling you, they're a lifesaver. They're just, don't do it. It's a sucker bet. And when you lose, you're going to lose big time. So, yeah, helmets are a big thing. And like you said, for the kids, the neck rolls are huge, especially for the 3 or 4-year-old kids and that. It just helps support that weight of that helmet on their, it disperses it rather than right on their neck, out onto their shoulders a little bit. So their neck doesn't get tired. Like you said, 45 minutes in, they're tired, they're done. Believe me, I'm done at that point because they're pitching a fit, they're fussy, it's no fun. So do everything you can you make them wear it, but try to be as comfortable as you can with them. Does anybody have any more questions for Chris? Hey, let's give him a big hand. Thank you. Couple things that I just remembered. Those slight hits in the head have been causing a lot lately. So things that I remember from the board meeting last night. Number one, we're coming up with some committees and that. And we're looking for people to be on these committees. We've got a welcoming committee. We're putting a right. You're just taking your coat. Sorry. So we're putting a ride committee together. A few other committees. I spaced because I left my notes at home today. But if you're interested in being on any of these committees, please see me or Randy or one of the other board members.
And we'll put them on the Facebook page and who the chair people are, so you'll be able to contact them too.
There are some people that are not on Facebook. Now that you're on Instagram, can you add that stuff onto the Instagram
Everything,
as well?
Okay, everything in Instagram we just barely started.
Right.
So theoretically, everything that is on the Facebook page will be mirrored onto the website and to the Instagram. So Because there are some people that don't do Instagram and don't do Facebook and barely do email.
And the problem with that is,
So I'm not saying it's a problem, I'm just saying we gotta cover our bases. And sometimes, you know, sometimes in the grand scheme of things, we get busy and we forget, you know. Reach out, say something, you know, just remind us we're all humans. The other thing that we're going to change up is we always do a ride raffle. We've had our room raffle, which if you win the room raffle, you're required to bring it the following month. And then we have our ride raffle prize that we do. That's always been used to pay for our barbecues after the ride for the meat and stuff. The club is financially stable enough now that we've grown so much that we don't need that money to pay for that. We're still going to do the ride raffles, but that money now is going to go to Make-A-Wish rather than to the club.
good.
So. Again, we do it, people like it, we usually have, we have a lot of different things. I think this month we have a heated lunchbox, even a 12-volt heated lunchbox, so, again, we're making that change because the club is now financially stable enough, we can supply the meats for the barbecue, and now we don't have to pay for that. The room raffle will help pay for that, and then so the money for the ride raffle prize will go strictly to Make-A-Wish from going forward.
You didn't talk about camping on the ride. Can you kind of go over?
For the Moab ride?
Yeah.
Okay.
Camp if you want.
We'll be camping there at Courthouse Rock Campground, which is Mills Canyon turnoff. So when you leave I-70 headed towards Moab on 191, it's about 14 and a half miles. You'll go past mile marker 142. It's about 3/4 of a mile past that. You'll see a turnoff on your right-hand side. It says Mills Canyon. Take that. You'll go through kind of a little wash, and you go up the hill. There'll be a turnoff there. Go past that turnoff. Go all the way up, and you'll see some bathrooms up there. And it's just a big open. It is a fee area. I can't remember what Dave. Do you remember what it is? Like $5 a night or something. Yeah, it's a BLM fee area, and I think it's like $5 a night. But it's dispersed camping. It's a big area. It's big enough for all of us. So, for whoever, how many are planning on camping? Yeah. We should have no problem at all getting everybody in there. It's called Courthouse Rock Campground. I think somebody's already, if you go into the event and go into the comments, I think Kevin Tillak has already, is this the place? Yep, that's the place.
Do you need a trailer from there to Trailhead? Or
No,
from there?
that's why we're staying there, because we can ride to the trailheads from there. 7 Mile Rim is just right behind there. Gemini Bridges will have to go down, cross the highway, go down a dirt road, and cross back over the highway. But it's all the trails that we're doing will be accessible from there. That's why I chose that spot. Yes, it's all dry camping.
I'm not going to say how accurate this is, but I just looked it up. They raised the price. It says $20.
Really good.
And it says overview of Courthouse Rock Campground on 3/20 of 19, so it was last summer. It says last price paid $20.
Yeah.
$40, you can probably water down.
Wow. If you're a senior and you got your senior pass, the tap price.
Any other questions on the ride? We will be doing the barbecue. We will be doing the barbecue Saturday night after the ride, there at the campground. So, now the favorite part of the program for the evening. We've got a whole bunch of new people, so I'm going to pick on you now. And I'm going to have you stand up and introduce yourself to the group. What kind of machine do you have, and how did you find us? I know how you found us, but everybody. So I'm going to go back here to the gentleman in red that was standing up. You that was standing up.
No?
Yep, you.
My name's Steve Phillips, my wife Marcia Phillips. We drive a Can-Am. Automatic 3RC, subsea.
Yep. And I take it you're friends with
Peterson's.
the Petersons? Okay. Welcome.
My name's Tony, this is my wife Pam. We went to the Outdoor Expo with Dan and Laura. We used to scuba dive with them, so that's how I found out about this. We just bought a 2009 Razor 800 last weekend, so we're looking forward to doing it.
Welcome. Come over on this side, the gentleman in the red jacket.
That's my brother right over there, I'm Larry Peterson.
Okay.
That's how I heard about you. I have a Polaris Trail 900. Looking forward to riding with you.
Welcome.
I'm Don Buckley. This is my wife Judy, my son Robert. We have a Polaris 1000 crew. We heard about you guys at the off-road show. Plus, I know a few people throughout the fire department because they're members of the association. So I happen to be the fire marshal for Baker State.
Cool. Well, welcome. Yep.
I'm Doug Maney. I've got a Rancher, and about 4 weeks ago I just bought a 2020 CF Moto 800. And
how did you hear about us?
Facebook and Bright for Life, AYL.
Okay. Well, cool. Welcome.
Our other family left. Becky and Javon.
Oh yeah, I seen them leave. So I'll embarrass them next time.
They had to go. They had to get their grandson home. He has school tomorrow.
Yeah, that's understandable. Well, welcome to everybody that's new. You'll find this is a really good group of people. There's a lot of experience. A lot of what?
Shenanigans.
Yeah, there's a lot of shenanigans.
Especially for Laura.
There's a lot of experience in the group, a lot of knowledge. You know, if there's something you need to know, or just, you know, reach out to any of us. Anybody here is willing to help and help you out in any way. You know, if you have issues with the machine, anything, just reach out. That's what we're here for. So.
Hey.
Great.
Shut up.
That's my boss.
Here comes shenanigans.
Shenanigans number 1. All right, so while we were up at the off-road show, we had a couple different manufacturers come up to us, and they are going to be helping us out with the Ride for Life. So we may have a couple more grand prizes, hopefully, if not some really great prizes. So keep watching on the Facebook, Instagram, and hopefully we can get more people out. I'm sorry? Website too, but there's not as much information right now. Cool? Who's gonna go? Oh, yeah. Sweet, right on. More people, bring more people.
More money.
Don't want money.
You might want to make sure we want money if they're interested in the radios before they can have a Facebook page and there's a list of stuff.
Yeah, for those that are new, most of us run
I'll have Danny pick on some
Volkswagen handheld radios. You can find them on Amazon. The UB5R, which is what most of us have. think you can get them for about 30 bucks or so. We recommend buying the extended antenna for them. Gives you a little bit better range out of them. They're a 5-watt radio. There's helmet kits, you know, for speakers and microphones in the helmet. I'm going to recommend if you do that, go to Rugged Radios. Get their helmet kit. It's more expensive, but it's much better put together. We've had a lot of us that have the others had a lot of issues with them and ended up spending the money to go with the Rugged Radios. Rugged Radios has a 5-watt handheld, which is identical. They're built by the same company. The Rugged Radios, I've heard, is a little bit more vibration, maybe a little waterproof. There's discrepancies back and forth of which one, you know.
And we're going to reprogram them anyway.
And we'll be reprogramming them. So if you've got a side-by-side, you might want to, you know, go to a mobile type radio.
Get a TYT.
The B-Tech has a 50 watt. I think you can get that online through Walmart for 180 bucks.
Or Amazon too.
Or Amazon, so.
We can program those too.
Just one real quick one for those of you on Facebook. If you're referring friends, be sure and tell them to just agree to the rules, because otherwise what happens is you refer them to the page and they can't post anything, they can't do anything other than read until they agree to the rules. And we delete them about every 2 weeks if they haven't agreed to the rules. So if you're anybody that's Facebook familiar, when you refer somebody, just tell them that you're referring, because sometimes they don't even know. So it's easy to do.
Anything else? Lance, we'll do your thing next meeting if that's all right. Okay. Well, thank you everybody for coming out. We're kind of over. Oh yeah, sorry. We have our room raffle here. And the lucky winner, 821698.
What?
Rick!
As you watched me carrying it up there, sorry.
Good. All right, well, thank you everybody for coming out. Look forward to seeing everybody at the Moab ride. We're going to be there, and then again, we've got the cleanup project all on the 4th. So have a good night.